The Mets have their hitting coach. They have hired Troy Snitker, who we talked about last week after they interviewed him, the ex-Astros hitting coach. Not official yet by the Mets, but all reports have indicated Snitker is going to be the new Mets hitting coach. So let's talk about it. You're watching Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Live. Smash that thumbs up on this video, please. Hit that subscribe and follow your boy at Jake Brown Live. Before we get into Snitker, I just want to say a quick rest in peace to Nick Mangold. I'm in my Jets shirt today. They won for Nick in his hometown state of Ohio, beating the Bengals on Sunday for the first win of the season. That really means nothing, but the win does. The record, Jets are 1-7. Who cares? We're not going to talk about the Jets here. This is a Mets show, but a guy that I got to interview on my old podcast, Gangs All Here, I was, pinch myself. I loved Nick Mangold. He was part of a Jets winning culture and the last Jets playoff teams when they went to back-to-back AFC championship games. And a great dude, a legend at Ohio State, a national champion, an All-American, a 7-time Pro Bowler, a member of the Jets Ring of Honor, should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and leaves behind 4 kids, his wife. Prayers out to his family. That is just a brutal loss at 41 due to complications of kidney disease. And, just less than 2 weeks ago, he had put the claim out there asking for a donor, and, it felt like he was going to get one. It felt like there were matches or there was going to be matches. But, man, that comes quick. Kidney disease is no joke. And thoughts and prayers to Nick Mangold. So just want to put that out there. A guy that I loved watching play, that I got to interview, that I, pee next to in the Legends Club bathroom at Yankee Stadium. When I saw Nick Mangold, I'm like, oh, hey, Nick. So, man, a great Jet we lost. So just want to shout that out there. R.I.P. Nick Mangold. Troy Snitker, 7 seasons as the hitting coach for the Houston Astros. This guy was part of that development of Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Jeremy Pena, those young stars. And obviously this year didn't go well for the Astros, but they also had a ton of injuries, a lot of overhaul from that roster, a lot of changes. And in his tenure with the Astros, they had the second highest WRC plus, 111, behind the Dodgers, and the lowest strikeout rate in the majors. I think that's something that's very important when we talk about this hire of Troy Snitker is, he makes sure guys don't chase. Guys walk more. OBPs are higher. Guys don't strike out. And I think that's what the Mets are trying to adapt here. And if they do move on from Pete Alonso, they want to get these strikeouts down. And Pete's a guy that strikes out every game. So they want to get guys that don't really strike out here, that put the ball in play, move runners over. The Mets did that so poorly this year. I mean, the amount of times that we went back and looked at bases loaded, no outs, 1 out where they didn't score, or runner at third, 1 out, didn't score, was infuriating. And they want to change that. They want to have an approach that works, that makes sense, and that makes sure they get more of those runs across. Because, listen, 1 or 2 of those runs come across, the Mets are in the playoffs. I mean, that's how simple it is, that if you change your ways just this much, you're talking about a team that makes the playoffs versus not making the playoffs. And that was the difference. 1 or 2 of those runs come home where a guy didn't strike out or ground into a double play. We're talking about a playoff team in the New York Mets. So I like the hire, a World Series champion there, a young guy, sub 40. I think that's huge. We're talking about a coaching staff that's trying to get younger. He'll be 37 next week, in December 5th. So Snitker, Kai Correa, both mid to late 30s guys. And, they want some life into the staff. Carlos Mendoza's a younger guy. They want to, have this be a young coaching staff. They don't want these old guys taking over. Mendoza's 45. So I'm a fan of the Snitker hire. I mean, if you're not a fan of it, I don't really understand why. You want experience, you got it. You just got a guy that was part of a perennial playoff team every year, that made the World Series 4 times, that won 2 World Series. I mean, this team was in the World Series a bunch, and cheating or not, they made it. And this came kind of after that cheating scandal. So their 2020 World Series was not cheating. That was legit. So welcome Troy Snitker as the Mets hitting coach. And we talk about guys that don't strike out a lot. Yandy Diaz is one of those guys. And Anthony DiComo put out a report last week that the Mets reportedly try to trade for Yandy Diaz at the trade deadline this season. And he's a guy that you've heard me mention over and over on here. I'd love the Mets to go get Yandy Diaz. And I know he doesn't fit your younger narrative, but his contract is very team-friendly, and this guy just hits, and he does not strike out. Yandy Diaz, 2023, was the batting champion, hitting .330 and a .410 OBP. This past year, he hit 300 with a .366 OBP. he's just a good player. His homers, his RBIs, his average, all better than Pete Alonso. Excuse me. I'm struggling today, guys. Long day yesterday. I am struggling. Bear with me today. We're going to get through this together. His average, his on base better than Alonso, and his WAR was the same as Alonso at 3.4. So, I think his defense is better. He's not an incredible defender. He's not a Gold Glover, but he's better defensively as well. So, I'm all at for Yandy Diaz. This is a guy that has a $12 million contract in 2026. He also has a conditional club option for 2027 for $10 million, and that salary vests at $13 million with 500 plate appearances in 2026. So 2027, you can get him if you bring him back for $13 million. And hey, if you decide, hey, we're not going to make him a first baseman anymore, because he will be, he is 34 right now. He'll be 35 next August. So he's going to his age 34 season. If, when he's 35, you want to say, hey, we'd rather you DH, fine. You keep Ryan Clifford, move Ryan Clifford to first, or figure it out first base. But you have the potential to have Yandy Diaz for 2 years and just $25 million, and a guy that strikes out hardly at all. 92 strikeouts this year, 95 last year, 94 the year before. He had 651 plate appearances. So do the math. That's a strikeout less than 1 out of every 6 at-bats. So he legit only strikes out once every 2 games by average. That's what the Mets need. They need a guy that, 5 out of 6 times is putting the ball in play. And I think Yandy Diaz is that guy. So if you decide, hey, we're not going to go sign Murakami, we're not going to sign Akamoto, we're not going to sign Josh Naylor, you want to get a cheaper route option at first base that, home runs, RBIs will go down, but you're going to have a better average, a better on base, better defense, and less strikeouts. Yandy Diaz is your guy. And he's been very consistent in terms of average on base for a lot of his career. He's a career 290 hitter and a 372 on base guy. His career strikeout averages per 162 are 100 because he played 150 games. He's played 134 or more since 2021. So he might miss a week or two in a season, but if I'm the Mets, you make him your DH sometimes, you make him your first baseman, and you solve a couple issues with Yandy Diaz. So now what it'll cost? It'll probably cost you, a top 5 prospect, maybe 2 top 10s and Mark Vientos. I don't know exactly what it would cost, but the Rays would have to get major league talent, their guys ready to be in the big leagues in return. But I think the Rays, a team that is never afraid to shed salary, it does not have a lot of money, this would be the time to move on from a 34-year-old who has a pretty affordable contract and get yourself, some major league ready prospects in return. Maybe it's, Sproat, Vientos, Acuna, or, Clifford, Vientos, Sproat. It might cost you a couple, but I think Diaz, if you have him for 2 years at that number, very valuable as a first baseman DH. Let us know in the comments below. What do you trade for Yandy Diaz? Let's respond to your comments from Friday's Mets Daily. Keep on leaving those comments, folks. Keep on hitting that follow and subscribe to my YouTube at Jake Brown Live. So let's go. From JM Valentine 73, preach. I'm not excited about Schwarber and his 230 average, who hits homers and nothing else. I know it's considered a throwback, but I prefer a lineup similar to the 86 Mets. Lenny hit for average. Wally hit for average. Keith was amazing. Gary was solid. Straw was solid. Then you had solid pieces like Knight, Elster, Mitchell, and pieces you could put in there without a job off of talent. I love that you say we haven't won with Pete. Truth. He comes in clutch on rare occasion. The lineup was very streaky. Lindor started hot. Lonzo started hot. Then both cooled. Soto picked up late. Vientos nowhere to be found. And McNeil hasn't been the same last few years. Beatty was up and down most of the years. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's all about homers and RBIs. And that's why I like Yandy Diaz, is because he just hits the ball and he doesn't strike out. It's not about him hitting 40, 30 homers. If he hits you 25 homers, drives an 80, and hits 290 with a 360 on base, sign me up every day of the week. So it's I think so many Mets fans fell in love with the power with Pete and just in general because this lineup hit a lot of homers, but it was a top-heavy lineup that didn't get enough production from everyone else. So I'm fine with an $11 million first baseman that'll hit me 300. Sign me up. From EJ Red 3, the New York Brewers and their baseball robotic metrics. Yeah, I mean, the whole sport is very analytical now. E. Moreau, Mets will be fine. Let's play baseball the right way. Make Pete a lifetime Met. Give him a good contract and continue to produce. The Polar Bear is loyal and he produces, gotta believe. Yeah, I don't think it's about loyalty, guys. Pete Alonso's trying to get paid and he hasn't got it from anyone else. So if he gets a contract this offseason more than Mets, you'll see the loyalty thing will be dead. He will take the contract for more money from another team. From Randy Luna 45, no Blue Jays and let's go Dodgers. 1-1, good series. What a start for the Blue Jays in Game 1. Game 2, Dodgers win. Game 3 tonight. Let's go. Jake Q18RY. You got some fire videos. Please make them like 20 minutes instead of 10. Needs to be at least a drive to the store long, lol. Yeah, guys, I've done podcasts my whole life, so I could yap for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but I just don't think in a daily model doing a show, there's no other person that's doing a show every day in the off season about the Mets that's keeping it short and sweet. And I think everyone's attention span's so short. So while I appreciate the compliment, I just don't think that model will work doing it. That's a podcast. That's 20, 30 minutes. I've done that for the last 10 years in this business. So I do think the shorter model does work, and you'll have more news tomorrow. Now, there are days we go 15 or 20. I think because we've been answering all your questions, we've been going 15. But, sometimes talking to myself yapping for that long is not the model that actually works. So I appreciate that, though. We'll try to maybe add a few minutes, but when you're doing 5 a week, sometimes you got to keep them short and sweet. Theo Isaac, let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Cristiano says, this has been my theme since 2023. Let the kids play and sign on one star, but Diaz is the utmost of all. I bet you the Mariners wish they had him. Go Mets. Yes, I don't think you can let the kids play every position, but I think there might be one position they let a kid play. From D. Phillips, he said it right there. We need better players. You can't just spend bread. They got to play. We need not one player away. You just can't give the farm for one player that never played at NYC. We different. Yep. Watch the next announcement, the re-signing Helsley from Frank Nadel. I hope not. Listen, if you get Helsley for cheap, fine, but I don't think Helsley's coming back. Radiant Valorant, Diaz, 4-year deal. I'm down. They extend him. Also go Blue Jays. Take down the monster that is the Dodgers. Yes, I think it's going to take 4 years to bring back Edwin Diaz. And, yeah, Blue Jays, good start. But now it's going to L.A. for 3. We'll see. Go Blue Jays. Remember, anyone is beatable, says Nezzy765. Yeah, we saw that Game 1. I said Dodgers in 6. So I'm not surprised the Blue Jays 1-1 at home. They should do that. From Kenneth Flood, I'm a Mets fan, but would love to see Mattingly get a ring after 20 years after being dubbed and mistreated by the Stankies. Yeah, I mean, listen, Donnie Baseball, man, really deserves this if they could win it. That would be awesome for Don Mattingly, but unfortunately, I don't think the Blue Jays will. G. Wong, the Mets didn't make postseason because of the pitching collapse. Pitching's definitely a big part of it, but the lineup was also very top-heavy. But, yeah, pitching was probably the bigger reason why. Walmart Stearns says Stearns needs to be fired. I don't think Stearns needs to be fired. I do think if they have a really bad offseason and a bad 2026 next offseason, his seat's going to be scorching hot, though. You're watching Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Live. Scan that. Become a Mets Daily Insider member. $5 a month. Subscribe below. Comment below. We'll read your comments on tomorrow's show and smash that thumbs up. And thanks for watching, everybody. R.I.P. Nick Mangold. Let's go Jets. Nice win. Let's go Mets. And thanks for watching Mets Daily.